Playoffs? Don't talk about it. Playoffs? You kidding me? Playoffs?
Well, good morning and welcome to the Gonzo Radio Sports Desk. I am Big Daddy Gonzo. How you doing? Hope you guys are having a fabulous 2021. We've been a little sporadic here because it's been Matt's turn to bring the orange slices to volleyball practice. So, welcome, Damaz.
Hello, everybody.
Where's my orange slices?
They're at practice.
I want my damn orange slices.
I got donuts instead.
Oh, you're not supposed to tell people I'm having donuts.
I had donuts.
I have to be losing weight. I have to be getting svelte for my March 14th
You doing
appointment.
That 10K run?
Yeah, I should be doing a 10K run by now. I should be doing at least a 5K walk by now. But,
you can substitute that K for anything. It doesn't have to be kilometer. They just make that up. You could do it. You could do 10K. Yeah, so. Kicks.
I was saying colonoscopy made me cough.
I think that's a C anyway. But anyway, hello, glad to be back. It's football. We got a couple of games today, pretty important ones.
We got a bunch on the slate. Well, actually, we got a bunch to talk about, but not like a big slate because we have Championship Sunday. Woo! The matchup between the Kansas City Chiefs and the AFC, the Kansas City Chiefs and the Buffalo Bills. And in the NFC, the Green Bay Packers versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And honestly, we've both kind of anticipated these. There's very little variables outside of the anticipation of this Final Four across the season, with the exception of your prediction for the Green Bay Packers,
yes.
Which was
I got to come clean.
Inaccurate.
I've got to come clean with that one. I was banging the Packers in the offseason. You know, a lot of people were with drafting Love in the second round and making it such a big thing. And I bought into it too. It looked like at this point, Aaron was a little bit tired and fed up with some of the stuff that's been going on. And what do? They draft a quarterback with a top pick. And it looks like, writing's on the wall. And there's communication issues and whatever. And no.
That was just thinking 3 years ahead.
It's working.
Okay? And it's time to get down to the 3 years of work right now, which is a good window for any quarterback, especially a guy who's, 35, 36?
Yeah, and potentially, and looks like the MVP of the league this year. So, again, not apologizing for my statement. I'm not a Rodgers fan, and I'm not going to step away from that. I was just wrong on assessing where they are, where he is. I was a little caught up in the numbers and his road record and all kinds of stuff, which are all viable stats and numbers. They have meaning.
Oh, yeah.
But right now, NFC playoff game, home, Lambeau, it's a tough road for anybody coming through there. So Green Bay's in a great spot. They're favored to win the game today. There's a reason for that. Aaron Rodgers is playing MVP level, off the charts. They don't turn the ball over. And that matchup, I don't know. There's strengths and weaknesses there. It's going to be a tough go today for Tampa. Now that's a whole other thing, the whole Brady thing. And
right. Well, listen. As anybody in the immediate Boston or New England area will tell you, that this kind of weather is Tom Brady weather.
Sure.
Okay. We can't put it off on cold. Okay. The one thing that I've found in the NFL. Probably, I would have to say, and yes, I'll go back to referencing the Miami Dolphins. In 1992, Louis Oliver returned an interception 106 yards for a touchdown in Buffalo with massive snow drifts on the side of the field. I mean, it looked frozen. I mean, you know how you normally see your breath when even coming out of your nose, you see your breath in that kind of cold weather.
Yeah.
We're talking about you could see the steam coming off the top of your head.
Yeah, those are cold days.
You could see steam coming out when you blink.
Yeah, well, this time of year, I mean,
so-
look about the teams that are in the playoffs. Usually, it's Pittsburgh, it's Green
Right.
Bay, it's all these other northeastern teams with these weather concerns. But remember, today everybody was talking snow this week and
Right.
potential issues. Weather today is not an issue for
Right.
either of
With-
these games.
With the technology today, now that and with heaters and heated benches and I'm looking over your shoulder and watching the McGregor fight, by the way. Yeah, by the way, congratulations, Dustin Poirier, or whatever the hell you want to call him. But we'll talk about that later. But with the technology that we're seeing on the sidelines with the heaters and whatnot, I mean, you go to an NFL sideline and it's almost like it's at least 10 to 15 degrees warmer across the whole sideline.
Yeah.
Than it is.
Well, I mean,
on the
listen,
field.
they're making it as comfortable as they can for the
Right.
players. Cold is cold. You can't get away
Right.
from cold.
Ugh.
But the biggest issue that we always talk
Sand.
about with weather
F-bomb.
is the wind. Okay, the wind is usually the biggest deterrent when it comes to production on offense because you can't
my
throw the
God.
ball. But that's not the case today. Again, we're fortunate to have 4 teams left, 2 games essentially today in cold climates where potentially, like in KC and Green Bay, it could be the frozen tundra. There's a reason why they call it that in Green Bay. But weather today, not a factor. Good weather. Mano line up and play. So
Well, I mean, you're from up north, okay? You're from the Pittsburgh area.
listen, New York, but we were
New York
just
area.
real quick. We were in Jacksonville this past weekend, and it got down to one of the mornings it was 37 degrees. Okay, now. No, I'm okay.
Pass.
I pass. We layered. I don't mind it if you're prepared for it. Yeah, well, like you mentioned, if I could carry a heated sideline with me from restaurant to hotel to
it's just a pain in the ass.
arena, it's cold. It limits your ability to function normally if you're not used to those elements.
Well,
okay.
I'm a Floridian.
Yeah.
Okay, I've never seen snow. I really, other than the mild curiosity of something that I've never seen snow. I've never
Wow.
been in snow.
Wow.
The two coldest I've ever been would have to be 22 degrees Fahrenheit, and the wind was blowing steady 20 to 25 miles an hour in Amsterdam, the Netherlands.
That's chilly.
That was chilly.
The wind is what makes it a killer.
I experienced the wind up the pants leg, okay, which immediately made me reach down and pull my socks up. But even that didn't help. So at that juncture, I decided I was going to start wearing double socks all the time. And then the absolute coldest, which would be in Middletown, Connecticut, it was 17 degrees. And my girlfriend and I were coming out of our hotel room, and there was ice on the ground. The grass had ice on it. And my girlfriend being from Connecticut at the time, was like, when we went walking out, and I was like, oh, wow. And I tamped my foot down on the grass. I was like, that's ice on the grass. She goes, yeah, that's ice. Yeah,
That's
okay.
cold.
And she's like, okay, well, let me tell you, be careful. I was like, why? She goes, because it's not really bad, but, you could accidentally step on a patch of ice.
And
I
it's
was like,
over.
really? She goes, yeah. And she told me the story about how she busted her ass a couple of times.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, we're kind of inching our way down the wall to the opening. And I saw the opening. I'm like, and I know the wind is blowing. We were on the leeward side. We couldn't really feel the wind, but I could feel that 17 degrees just
Penetrate your
oh my
soul.
God. And when we rounded that corner, I started to peek at the ground. And then that wind hit me and blew up my pant leg. And I started doing the dance. I was like, ho, 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 picked up the collar. And I was like, screw the ice. I started doing like a fast walk jog to my truck, and my truck was maybe 100 yards away. It was like a football field away. I was like, oh my God, move, go, 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 go.
Yeah.
She's laughing at me every step of the way.
If you're not used to the elements and you're in the elements,
I'm a Florida guy, man.
Especially being that cold. The coldest for me, sports related, was 2005. Was the AFC Championship game, Pittsburgh, New England.
Yeah.
And Pittsburgh, PA, that day game time temperature was 12 degrees. Ooh. Now we had gotten to if I remember correctly, it was a nighttime game, but it was early in the evening. I think it went off at like 6 or 6:30. So it was already dark by the time game started. But we had gotten to the field earlier in the day, maybe like about 2:30 or 3. Did the whole tailgate thing, and even in the sun, I think the daytime temperature was in like the mid to upper 20s. Oof. And listen, for that stretch of time, because when you start off cold, you don't go back to warm if you're still in the elements. You stay cold and get colder. And that's what happened. It was cold when we got there.
You need some of those Bernie Sanders mittens.
I thought, yeah, well, that's coming. I thought I was prepared, but it just got worse. And we were sitting on bleachers because we were in the end zone. We had end zone seats. And so we were on the home field in the bleachers. And, man, I think they said with wind chill, I think it was around 2 degrees was about as cold as it had gotten. And it was like just sitting in your freezer and then wrapping yourself in ice and just taking your clothes off and enjoying the 2-degree temperature.
You ever play like sandlot football when it's cold?
Here in Florida, I mean, I'm sure, but again, it's relative. 50s for us right now, and you're looking for jackets and gloves and everything else.
I was a tough guy. I had to be about 17, 18, and we used to have a regular game probably about 10 times a year at this place called Lions Park in Coral Springs, and it had to be 48 degrees, for us, really cold.
Yeah.
And I was playing with a windbreaker on. I took the windbreaker off. I'm getting hot and sweaty, whatever. I'm fine. This is cold weather. I'll be okay. Blah, 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 blah. And I caught a short pass, and I turned around, and I ran through an arm tackle. But it had that on my chest. And the delayed reaction, okay? We're talking about 17-year-old Gonzo, okay? 10 feet tall and bulletproof. Almost quite literally, okay? But that delay reaction, catching that slap, and it was like right over my rib cage, like bam, right? And I'm like, and I went,
going down for the count.
It's the only way they could have caught me because I was pretty fast for a big kid back then. But I just, and talking about a sports related, how can I say, spectator wise. And you're gonna try to pull my man card, but same trip with my then girlfriend had to be 25 to 28 degrees the night before. It was a lake effect storm that was coming across. No snow though, unfortunately. I was like, "Oh, am I going to see snow?" Nope, no snow.
No snow for you.
So they went to her little sister's soccer game, high school soccer game. High school girls soccer, please. Let me retain my man card, because
too late.
They, bless her family, they came prepared. They knew what was happening. I mean, they were bundled up themselves. I mean, they know to do it.
They live in the elements,
right? They
have to function.
But they brought an extra blanket for me.
Yeah.
They brought an
That's
extra,
smart.
Oh my God. And I was like, I had gloves on and I had my jacket on and I had a sweatshirt on and a t-shirt on under. I was layered. I was ready to go. I had my hoodie up.
If you're not used to it though.
They were like, here, they gave me a scarf. They gave me like a muffler, okay, like a wool scarf. They're like, here, put this on. What? And my girlfriend showed me how to put it on, and I was like, okay. I put it on over my chin, and then by the time we sat down and that wind started blowing, I went,
yeah, it was up
over the nose. Thank you. I was like,
you know what they call that? They call that foreshadowing because.
Oh my God.
Yeah, right now we're all used to wearing scarves around our face.
Crap.
That's a whole nother discussion.
Yeah, that's a whole nother discussion.
Yeah.
Have you got COVID fatigue? Have you got fatigue for this crap?
I've had it for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had it for a long time. But you know what? The irony is we sat here at the beginning of football season and beginning of when sports were coming back, and questioned all of it. We weren't sure
Yeah.
what was going to happen, what the road was going to be,
Yeah.
how good the products were going to be, what other potential problems that could have come out of these players being out there, potentially exposing others is what some of the fears are. But here we are. We're championship weekend, and
It's a miracle.
all of the leagues have navigated their way through this like all of us have had to. There's a lot of hatred out there for some of the people still that I hear, this negative sentiment towards sports, towards athletes. A lot of it usually starts with, oh, they're always this and they're all like that. And that's bridged into every aspect of society
Because
now.
they're not people. Of course they're not people.
Well, that withstanding, but when you find somebody doing something wrong, judge the person, not the group they belong to, not who they represent or who their friends are even, because it's still the person in the act. That's where the judgment should lie. So again, not to get on that whole thing, I think we're blessed to be in the spot we're in today. I think we're on the road to recovery in general, overall, as a society, because that's what we do.
But it's making me crazy.
Regardless of who's running the show and everything else. So anyway, we're blessed. Good games today. Clearly for me, the part that stands out with these games today is you have the 4 potential best quarterbacks in the league.
Right.
Those are the ones that are left standing.
Well, okay, we've already done the analysis for Green Bay and Tampa Bay. And have you given me a prediction?
Yeah, I mean, listen, we didn't really talk much about Tampa's side and the fact of the importance of what this is if you
Brady
think
weather.
to Brady. Yeah. Let's say Tampa wins today. Let's say Tampa wins 2 weeks from now the Super Bowl and Brady's got his 7th. Does it make a difference for Brady in terms of legacy? Okay, 10 years from now he's got 6 rings. 10 years from now he's got 7 rings. What's the part you think that stands out in terms of at least this one that makes this one either better, more special, harder to obtain? What factors, if any, if you feel, make this one more important, have more value at this point in his career than, let's say, the rest?
Justification for the individual.
Okay.
Justification for his status as the GOAT, if you will. Because, outside of everybody in the New England area, there's always seems to be some sort of disagreement or, dispute as to whether or not he is the greatest quarterback of all time.
Sure.
I begrudgingly give that to him. Okay, it's as simple as that. Okay, your Steelers have, 6 Super Bowls?
6.
Okay, but that's spread out amongst 3 quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
3 quarterbacks and 3 coaches, I believe, right? 3 coaches.
3 coaches.
Cowher
yeah.
got one, too.
Yeah, Noel Cowher and
Okay,
now,
that's 3
Tomlin.
quarterbacks and 3 coaches.
Yeah.
Okay, and
Those are organizational accomplishments.
Right.
With the players involved, but certainly what you're saying in terms of the tenure, it's pretty much under Tom Brady's watch.
Right.
Essentially. He's the one that has had the keys to the ship, essentially, through this whole
but
thing.
it's also under Bill Belichick's watch.
Well, that's the marriage. That's the other side of it. So, like you're saying, I'm in agreement with you. I think number 7 has certainly as much, if not more, value than probably all of the other ones. And again, for what you said, it's now he can say, even though it's team sport and it's Arians and game planning and all the weapons you can point to.
Individual achievement.
It's Brady at this point in his career. It's the changes that had to be that had to be made, the circumstances that they're all playing in, the COVID issues and such.
Right.
To be able to come on top at the end of it, and it had been him. If that's the way it's going to be written, man, it's going to be a tough argument down the road as to who you're putting at number 1. And who you're putting at number 2.
And like I said, for my money, and you're talking to a hardcore Dolphin fan, I have seen him. I have had the pleasure of seeing him play more than 10 times. I can't even count. I have had the pleasure of seeing him play more than 10 times. The miserable pleasure of seeing him play more than 10 times. And I have had the euphoric pleasure of seeing him get beaten a whole bunch of those times. I'd have to say 7 out of 10 times I've seen the Dolphins beat him.
Regardless of where those teams were and talent-wise, the Dolphins, especially down here, kind of had him a little bit, yeah. Except for the one Randy Moss explosion.
Well, yeah. Well, I still think he at least once a month he wakes up in a cold sweat seeing Jason Taylor come after him.
Yeah.
because as far as players that owned Brady, and they're few and far in between.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe Charles Woodson a little bit, okay? But few and far in between players that owned Tom Brady, it would be Jason Taylor, number 99 of the Miami Dolphins, biatch. But he's, I mean, I've seen him throw overtime touchdown pass game winners, first play from scrimmage against the Dolphins. I've seen him.
Yeah, it's been ugly at times.
Come out and lay an egg in a 95-degree, just a sweltering sauna. Okay, being a Dolphins season ticket holder, I've gone to a lot of Patriot games. I've gone to seen Tom Brady a lot, and he's the goods. He's the real deal. I've seen them all. I've seen Joe Montana with San Francisco and with Kansas City.
Yeah.
Okay, and of course I've seen Dan Marino about 100 times. Okay, and speaking of another guy who didn't quite get his due, I will say that Joe Montana got his due because he won 3 Super Bowls with one coach and 1 Super Bowl with another coach. Okay, so he changed coaches, but the system didn't change. Okay, so I'll give him that much. Okay, but when he went to Kansas City, he only got as far as the AFC Championship game, and he got beat. Okay, so he didn't necessarily finish the deal. He didn't win a Super Bowl on his own.
Right.
Okay, without benefit of the San Francisco system.
Let's continue on with this a little revisionist history. 10 years from now, looking back at the quarterbacks. Now, obviously, how we just mentioned how important it is for Brady, okay, and what people are going to look at number 7 and how important that was. Mm-hmm. But now let's look at the other side. Rodgers, it'll be 3 for him, okay. And
if he were to go through to win,
if he wins and gets to, now, assuming these quarterbacks that are in there right now win the Super Bowl this year,
right?
So let's go ahead and play out 10 years.
Would it be 3
looking,
or would it be more 2 for him?
Aaron Rodgers will be two Super Bowls for him. Yeah, because they beat who was their first victory? No, it's 3. It'll be 3 for him.
Are you sure?
No, it's 2 for him.
Well, Russ, yes, sir. How many Super Bowls does Aaron Rodgers have?
Yeah, he's won one. He lost 1. He's been to 2 Super Bowls. He's won 1. Yeah.
We got a guy.
He's 1-1. Okay, been to 2.
And who did he win against, and who did he lose against? He might know this, like right off the top of his head. I swear. That's why they call him the Guru.
Steelers.
We may have stumped him.
No, it's the Steelers. I know.
By surprise.
Yeah, that's 1. That's the victory.
Okay.
And then the loss was to
beat the Steelers.
I don't know. But more importantly, looking back now, Aaron Rodgers, he has 2.
The Patriots?
At least 2. At least, yeah, it was. At least 2. The argument, again, I was down on Rodgers coming into this year with some of the things that were going on.
Killing Rodgers coming into this year.
But
I'm being nice, not making you eat a humble pie sandwich.
Let me tell you something about where they are right now. Okay,
Not just a humble pie, but the pie with bread on both sides, making it a sandwich with like deli mustard.
Do you know what me being wrong means ultimately? Nothing. Ultimately, no. What it does is it makes other people, it gives them a chance to catch up. That's all.
Give them a chance to catch up.
Yeah, it just gives them an opportunity just to feel good.
Dumb it down a little bit.
Yeah.
Let the other people think that they're playing along.
It's called fairness, okay? We talked before the show about how Green Bay right now is in a position, potentially with Rodgers and how they're playing this year, over the next several years to be like the Brady Patriots of the NFC in terms of positioning in their division. You look at other teams in their division and their quarterback play. You got the Bears, obviously, with Trubisky. What are they doing? That's a problem. The Lions right now, who are looking for a quarterback. Stafford's moving on. And it's just that right now, it just, to me, it seems eerily similar to the path of which we could be looking at today as almost the road through the NFC moving forward in the next couple of years. Because outside of potentially Russell Wilson in the NFC, what other NFC quarterbacks are at his level? And you could, like I said, we talked about it. Look at the 4 teams that are standing right now. It's the 4 best quarterbacks in football.
I don't know what you did to your camera, but you're lagging. I don't know. Really weird. Yeah, we are looking at the 4 best quarterbacks in football.
So, I mean,
that much is true.
How is it going to be any different moving forward for Green Bay? What teams are going to be challenging them? We'll start from within their division. Can't see
Nobody.
Start from, again, mentioning quarterbacks that are coming in or playing right now in the conference. I mean, outside of Seattle, if Seattle was going into Green Bay today, and that was the game that we were watching this afternoon, would Green Bay still be favored, even with Russell Wilson?
All day.
Of course.
All day, every day.
Yeah. So not only was I wrong about Green Bay and Aaron Rodgers, but obviously they're proving me wrong, and they could be proving me wrong for the next several years.
Okay, well let's put a pin in that because we'll come back to that because we have a player carousel we have to get to as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on to Kansas City and Buffalo.
Yes.
Okay, that's a biggie.
Huge game today.
Huge.
Kansas City last week was holding their breath when Patrick, what did he get choked out? They're saying now he caught
he caught a DDT is what he did.
He did get one. Yeah,
The guy snatched him down. I'm telling you, it looked like a pro wrestling finisher. Okay, and as somebody who has been caught and has caught his forehead on a padded surface.
Yeah.
Okay, and dude had a helmet. You get yanked down with somebody with a hand behind your head, and you bonk your head.
Yeah, he was kind of, if you did look at him, he was kind of grabbed around an area where, because I've unfortunately had to secure a few of those. When you do have somebody choked out, that is particularly, I mean, you've got somebody in that area, and for a period of time, if you get somebody in the right spot, it doesn't take long before they're going night-night. So he temporarily was like, I mean, when he got off the ground or tried to get off the ground, they're like, Patrick, get up. And he looked around and he just went, ice cream. That's the first thing he said. As he's looking around thinking he was at the park.
I'm Batman.
Yeah. So he was a little bit loose at that point. So
like, where are you?
Yeah.
I'm in Kansas City.
Yeah. And it's funny because
what time is it?
Mom? Yesterday. When the offensive lineman picked him up off the ground and literally was like, trying to get him straight again. Yeah. Pat, are you okay? And he's like, bananas or whatever he was mumbling. Yeah. But anyway, they escaped a big scare last week. He's healthy. He's playing. They're talking about this turf toe thing. Right now, everybody's hurt. I mean, if you're not hurt in the NFL, you've been pounding each other for 19 weeks. There's a lot of injuries to go around. But the good thing, there's a lot of drugs, too.
I've got like a hamstring thing.
Yeah. I hurt myself coming out of the elevator. Definitely tweaked something. So, but there's
out 2 weeks
at least. There's a lot of drugs out there that these guys are taking, getting them ready for today.
Oh yeah,
feeling good about themselves.
People on the Gonzo Radio Sports Desk group page, there was a post about Antonio Brown being out, and there were a few people that were criticizing him. And I said, "Let me ask you a question, okay? Let's say that Antonio is out for this game. If you asked him, the first thing he would say is, 'Give me the needle.' And give me a couple of Percocets, and I'll be all right. Wrap it up, and I'll be good to go. Okay? I can guarantee you he said that. Okay? I can guarantee you he said that. But the doctors told him, no, you have a really good chance of damaging the knee further.
Yeah.
They think it's a meniscus thing.
And here's the thing. Antonio Brown has led the team in targets over the last 4 weeks.
Right.
So he's viable, and if he becomes unviable at some point because of an injury, certainly next year, it's a big loss.
I mean, he played the middle of the third quarter of last week is when he hurt the knee.
Yeah.
And he finished the game.
Yeah.
He had 4 catches after hurting. You see him limping.
Yeah.
Okay, the guy's a warrior. As much of a nutcase as he's been, which, by the way, a lot of people are speculating that was drug and alcohol related, and he managed to skirt and circumvent the drug testing system. Okay, good for you. You might want to pass that knowledge around to a few other younger players. But he even besides his behavioral problems, okay, the man is a warrior. I mean, I equate him to Terrell Owens. So I can guarantee you that having 2 weeks off to rest it, whatever it is, and having the inflammation go down, okay, or actually having 3 weeks off to rest it, and
getting the best treatment along the way, potentially getting him ready to play, and he still wasn't available.
Right. So if Tampa Bay makes it to the Super Bowl, he will not care. He will not care. He'll be like, get the needles out, give me the drugs. Okay, I'm ready to go.
Well, here's the thing.
What
you did allude to was assessment from the medical staffs from these teams.
Right.
And for the stories that you do hear about when these relationships go wrong, for whatever the reasons are and wherever the blame lays, you do hear it. A guy has a surgery, it goes bad, he has a falling out with the medical personnel and staff, and the next thing he's cut or he's traded or whatever. Okay. But for the
Or he
most
asks
part,
for a trade.
But for the most part, these teams and these doctors, they get it right. Okay.
Sure.
So and you don't hear about the rights, you just hear about the wrongs. So in a case like this, with him being so important, so valuable, and he still can't play, there's a reason why he can't play. Now, not comparing players, but only roles. I do believe, though, if he was like, say, Stephon Diggs for the Bills, where they don't necessarily have the availability of talent at that level to maybe fill the spot, I think you may unfortunately see those decisions being made a little bit differently based on the team. Now, if he's not ready and can't contribute, forget it.
Yeah,
but if you get a guy that's on the fence,
is the big word.
If you get
Can't is the big word.
if you get a guy that's on the fence, and maybe it is that other needle or that other pill, I think depending on the situation, I think you may have him play. But the Bucs, with all the other weapons they have, and the fact that Brady's been spreading the ball around to everyone, regardless if he's leading the team in targets or not, I don't think it's going to be that big of an issue, at least in today's game. Right. So I just think because they've been without him for a period of time too.
Right. And I can't see you look over your shoulder. They're talking about Matt Stafford, okay? And it's a matter of toughness. Let us remember what the 70s and 80s in the NFL were like, okay? Where if there was no concussion protocol, Patrick Mahomes would have come back in the game.
No question.
Without a doubt. He would have sat on the sideline.
Yes.
He'd have got a little smelling salts.
Yeah.
He'd have got a little ice pack on the back of his head for a few minutes. And he'd been like, okay, yeah, get up, throw a couple of warm-up tosses.
Sure.
I'm good to go.
A lot of them did.
And he might have missed a series.
Yeah.
A series.
But then 30 years later, we learned that those same players are chewing on crayons.
Right.
Yeah, and that's a problem.
I mean, because you look back to the 70s and you look back to guys like Terry Bradshaw, Rocky Blyer. Okay, Rocky Blyer said he played the last 3 years of his career with a torn up right knee, a torn up left ankle, and he was getting injections every week. Okay, you had guys that came out of their careers just hopelessly addicted to painkillers.
Yes.
Okay, because it was that tough warrior mentality. All right.
Another great Steeler, Jerome Bettis, had sold his house when he finally retired. You want to know why he sold it? Because it was 2 stories. Because he couldn't get up and down the stairs anymore and was done. And it took him 10 minutes, 15 minutes to get his both feet on the floor getting out of bed.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is where, they realize this now, the science, the treatments, the players, the availability for them to get the best of the best is a blessing for these players and for the league. And that's the importance of where they are with structure.
The era of the Iron Man is over.
It's there's no shame right now.
Stafford was an absolute warrior last year. Okay?
Oh yeah, his whole career he's been like that.
Right.
Phillip Rivers just retired another one.
On a losing team, on a team that was going 4-12.
Those guys are playing no matter what.
Right, which brings me to we'll get to that. Put a pin in that and come back to it. But the Kansas City, the Kansas City Buffalo game on to Kansas City. Mm-hmm. Okay, so we're back to Kansas City. So Patrick Mahomes, can't call him Pat. His mama gets mad.
I heard that.
Patrick Mahomes is a go. He's ready to go. He's got a little turf toe thing.
Right.
But he has cleared the concussion protocols, or they bribed the right doctors, whatever you want to say. It's like, I'll buy you a house. I'll buy you a new house. I'll buy you a boat. What do you want? He's got to get in there. So we're looking at 2 teams that can really put up video game numbers. They can put up Madden numbers. But do we see a shootout today?
I don't know, only because when you look at these games, last week there was a lot of lower scoring games overall. I think teams were, it's easy to just say it's a feel out process, use these cliches. I don't know. I just think it's playoff time. Teams kind of get a little bit more specific on both sides. I think the defenses are playing better. I think if you look at Kansas City's defense, a little opportunistic. They're the bend, don't break. They're decent on the back end. They can create turnovers. But on the other side, you got Buffalo's defense that led the league this year in fourth quarter turnovers. So it's kind of that bend, don't break type thing. I will say this again about Kansas City in terms of the offense. And this is something that maybe sounds surprising, is they are 26th in the league in red zone scoring. Okay, now you look at KC's prolific, the weapons, Hill and Kelsey and Robinson and Williams and Patrick throwing the ball all over the field. Okay, they're struggling to score where it counts.
True.
And that's a problem. Now, the Bills, on the flip side of that, are number 2 in red zone scoring defense.
Right.
So you got a glaring weakness for the team who's really the better team, you would think, and who's supposed to win this football game, matched up against the potential strength of the Buffalo's defense. Advantage Buffalo in that spot. So, again, from that perspective, now, it's playoff time, and a lot of things can happen. Experience certainly is on Kansas City's side. Coaching on the field, they've been there, they've done it. They're at home. So all those little intangibles this time of the year, you're checking all the boxes for Kansas City. It's a mountain, in my opinion, Buffalo has to climb. Now, they can do it because Josh Allen's been a beast at times. But
Dark horse MVP candidate.
and if the further they go on and win, certainly it's going to be hard to not put him in that conversation. But I'll say this. I always lean towards the teams that have been there as opposed to the teams that are trying to get there. And if you look at the talent across the board, I'm checking Kansas City just because of the amount of talent they have.
It just seems like this is Kansas City's time.
They've struggled at times this year in terms of what maybe our expectations of Kansas City have been because we've put them on that pedestal where we expect them to be great every week. And maybe at times they haven't been great despite them of still being able to win and being in the position they are today. I think this time of year, I think those sorts of things don't matter as much. I think it's the better football team. I think the better football team wins the football game. And I just think across the board, outside of Allen carrying it like Hercules today and doing monumental things we've never seen, it's going to be difficult unless Kansas City implodes for them not to win that football game today.
Right. Well, now, safety Micah Hyde, quarterback Tre'Davious White, they have both repeatedly said that this is not the same team that you played in Week 6. Repeatedly have said that, okay? But what I saw in Week 6 was a Kansas City defense that had more dynamic players on defense, okay, with Tyrann Mathieu and with Frank, what's his face? Frank White? Not Frank White.
The corner?
No. They're defensive linemen. You got Chris Jones. You got Frank Jones, whatever his name is. But you have more dynamic players that can make big plays on the Kansas City defense than you do on Buffalo defense. The Buffalo defense is more scheme players.
I agree.
Okay, Hyde and White are tremendous. Okay, Edmonds as a linebacker is tremendous. And he's a hybrid linebacker because he can line up everywhere all over the field.
They've got playmakers on the defensive side, like you said.
Milano has been tearing it up since he came back from injury. Okay, there's no doubt that they have emphasized getting teams off the field and making them settle for field goal tries. Okay,
right.
But also by that metric, you're looking at Butker being one of the best kickers in the NFL. I mean, if he kicks 5 field goals and they just score 1 touchdown, I mean, is that 22 points? Is that enough to win the game?
Listen, if they're in a position where they have to kick 5 field goals,
would Buffalo be thrilled with that?
Then KC it's not positive game script for KC because then that would lend to what we're saying about how they're having difficulties getting into the end zone in those red zone spots.
Right.
Their strength is the 40-yard touchdown pass, the mismatch. Either it's Hill or it's DeMarcus Robinson or somebody that they've lined up, and they beat
some squirrel down the field.
Some sort of cover 2 or zone, which the Buffalo does play that style.
Running around like a bull in a china shop.
They've got tons of options, so that's where Buffalo's defense is going to have to make that play like they've been doing. In the fourth quarter, if they're still in that football game at that point. Again, I just don't see how. And Frank Clark was, I think, the lineman you were looking for. How that unit
caffeine and donuts.
If game script go, because again, Buffalo's a team that doesn't run the football, so you kind of get a feel for what Buffalo's offense is going to have to be and have to look like. If KC has success against them with guys like Frank Clark up front, then you're certainly it's going to be a tough day for Buffalo. I just don't want to get caught up in the Josh Allen hype train. Now, it's warranted. The kid's been amazing, but he hasn't been in this spot before, ever. And a lot of these Buffalo players, coaches included, haven't been in this spot before.
Including
Kansas City. So
Leslie Frazier, on the other hand, has been in this spot before.
There's a little experience on that side.
Leslie Frazier has been in a Super Bowl before.
Yeah.
So having an experienced defensive coordinator, I mean, it's not like they're bereft of experience on that side of the field.
Yeah.
Okay, but still, one defensive coordinator can't necessarily make up for the lack of experience by the whole defense. I mean, you're looking at a defense that has their average age is like 24 and a half. They're a young defense.
The Chiefs' offense, when they're clicking, they're scheme busters, okay?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Buffalo's coming in there with an idea on how to stop Patrick Mahomes, how to limit the offensive weapons, how to stop the big play, because that's who KC is.
Right.
You know what happens most times is teams can't do that.
No.
And they can't do that, one, because they don't have the personnel. Okay, if they've got the coaching that can plan and put guys in spots to do that, then you have some teams that have success. But it's two battles for Buffalo. The coaching, certainly they have the coaching ability. They've got the defensive coordinator.
Much as I hate to admit it, Sean McDermott is really, really good.
Do they have the talent? Do they have enough on that side to stop them, to not allow them to get off one or two of those big plays that Kansas City always happens, seems to do in these games especially.
Right.
If that happens, if KC's in a plus game script and they're at halftime with a couple of touchdown lead, it's game over.
Right. Well, I mean, listen, McDermott being the former defensive coordinator that he was, he runs a little bit of a hybrid defense himself. So that one of the reasons why they got rid of guys like Shaq Lawson, let Shaq Lawson go in free agency, is because he's that lighter 260-pound defensive end.
Yeah, he's not a mauler.
He went with gorillas on the interior defensive line.
Yeah.
And so he went with hybrid edge guys for linebackers. And one of the sneaky things that Buffalo likes to do is they like to bring Micah Hyde every once in a while.
Remember their old defensive scam for – there were two teams that were running the 3-4 when they were running the 3-4. It was the Bills and it was the Steelers.
Right.
That was the scheme in which they did. So they put the Hogs up front to stop the run and the faster, quicker linebackers to be able to contain the edge.
Right.
And that's what Buffalo can do well. Kansas City needs to run the football today. They need to be able to do that at least marginally, because then that'll keep those Hogs honest and those linebackers with the speed honest, and allow guys like Kelsey to find the seam and the other big play guys to make plays down the field. And I think that's where the issues are going to come personnel-wise, where Kansas City is, again, like we saw earlier in the year, a little bit of a mismatch when it comes to that.
Right. Well, Hilaire, what's the kid's name with the hyphen?
Claude, Hilaire, Galaire.
Yeah.
First round bust. Number 8 overall, most drafts.
First round meh.
Yeah.
He's been banged up. He's a smaller dude. That's
Call it
why.
what it is, okay? First round,
Well, he's healthy.
First round,
Well, he's healthy.
That's the fantasy show. But you're right. Today,
he's a guy that can catch him out of the back.
He'll be a part of the scheme today for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
If Le'Veon Bell goes off, the game is over. If Le'Veon Bell has a 20-touch game,
I'll tell you this: if he's touching the ball 20 times, they already have the lead by that point by 3 touchdowns, because he's not. That's not what their game plan is.
Right. But if you get, and especially when he has, I mean, yeah, as you remember as a Steeler fan, okay, the guy likes to get first down runs 7-8 yards. If he is banging 7-8 yards on first down, 1st and 10. Okay, that sets up success like crazy.
Yeah, they can play action off that.
And they can play action off of that, and then it gets really, really dangerous. So he's definitely a guy. Le'Veon Bell's definitely a guy to watch out for. He's, as you well know, a guy built for the playoffs.
Oh, yeah.
He's a guy built for the Super Bowl.
It's experience, and that's huge at this point. You keep lining up guys on that side that can help you.
You're talking about Bell, right?
Yeah, we're talking about Bell. Why?
He's not playing.
He's not playing?
He's not playing.
Why?
Because
Whoa!
he's
Breaking news.
Yeah, he's hurt.
He's hurt. Oh, never mind about Le'Veon Bell then.
Yeah.
Take all of that stuff away.
Edwards-Helaire and
Edwards-Helaire and Williams.
yeah.
Oh. I take it all back.
I think it's karma that you have both Steeler failures and a spot on different teams to advance, and they're not playing today.
Yeah,
No Antonio Brown and no
I got the
Le'Veon Bell.
Guru like walking around in the wings here, and all of a sudden he stops while I'm talking about Le'Veon Bell.
Where
and I'm
was
like,
he?
What do you want?
Where were you in the pre-production meeting?
Yeah, what the hell? So your prediction, finally, as we get to that.
For that game in particular?
Yes.
Just too much on Kansas City's side. I honestly just think talent-wise across the board, like we said, Buffalo has to play a perfect game. Josh Allen has to be Superman. Stephon Diggs has to continue doing what they're doing or what he's done.
Kansas City checks more boxes.
The boxes that count.
Right.
Okay. I'm going to say Kansas City wins this game.
Well, you don't need a score, but
No, I'm giving you a score because that's
Oh,
what we
score,
do.
okay.
We're doing scores, okay? This is official
by all
stuff.
means, give us a
People
score.
need these numbers. They need these scores. Right now, I give a score. They're right there. Okay, over. I'm going to say 30-24 Kansas City.
Okay, so Kansas City kicks 3 field goals. And so that's so you're looking at Tampa Bay, Kansas City.
No, I think Green Bay wins today.
You're looking for a rematch of Super Bowl II.
Green Bay, KC.
Super Bowl II.
And because I was so on Green Bay's analysis through the year, and definitely been pro Rodgers.
Yeah, all day, huge.
Green Bay wins the whole thing this year. I think Green Bay plays Kansas City, and I think Green Bay, Aaron Rodgers will be just
sneak
enough.
one out of Kansas City's window.
Just better enough, better than Mahomes in a spot or two in that game.
Yeah.
And that's going to be the difference. So,
Well, I see.
and I'm okay with that. I'm okay being wrong. It's
Okay.
because I'm not used to it. So it's changing my life, and I'm willing to embrace it.
Well, listen. I would really prefer seeing Tampa Bay versus Buffalo because, well, I love breaking Buffalo fans' hearts. By the way, big shout out to Bills Nation. You guys are great with the charity work, and you guys are the most insane, passionate fans.
Kick him and then pick him up really quick,
yeah,
just like
it's
that
like,
too.
Yeah, good.
Wow.
Okay, yeah, very nice. Yeah, broke your heart. Oh,
Yeah,
sorry. I'll
and then-
dry your tears.
yeah,
Here's a beer.
But you're awesome people.
But you're awesome people.
Yeah, keep doing what you're doing.
You make me nuts,
Yeah,
but you know,
yeah. Put a Band-Aid on it.
Yeah, put a Band-Aid on it.
Get
But
up.
I would love to see Tom Brady stick it to the Buffalo Bills one more time.
That hurts so bad.
On his way out the door.
Hasn't
you
Jim
know,
Kelly
'cause-
gone through enough? I mean, really?
Well, Tom Brady's never stuck it to Jim Kelly.
If this was a different
He's
show,
stuck it to the other 9 quarterbacks over the last 10 years.
if this was a different show, I just had 3 Jim Kelly jokes come right in my head, but I'm going to put them over
Yeah,
here
we're
because
going to
I
be
like
nice
him.
to Jim Kelly.
I love
because
Jim Kelly.
Jim
No.
Kelly is a cancer survivor.
I know, but that was the evil part of me that came right through because there's a lot there.
We're not cruel assholes.
I know. Well, not.
Not very cruel assholes, but yeah, lots of love and shout out to the Bills Nation. You guys
Yes.
are great fans.
Heck yeah.
But I just the Dolphin fan, the AFC East douchebag that I am. I would really love to see Tom Brady stick it to the Buffalo Bills one more time on his way out the door. So you're seeing a rematch of Super Bowl II.
Yes.
And you're seeing Aaron Rodgers steal a Super Bowl out of the Kansas City window.
Well,
You know, because I see the Kansas City window right now as being the 20s. The 2020s, that's the Kansas City window.
well, you mean the entire decade? Because that's a big window.
Close
they would
to it.
they
I
would
mean,
love that.
And Andy Reid is a big key to that.
Here's what I'm going to tell you about windows in the NFL. We're finding out this right now. Once these quarterbacks that are on these rookie deals are getting ready for their next contracts, and if teams aren't doing it the right way financially, managing the cap so that they can build around these players that they have to pay,
Then it's a shit show.
it's a shit show and it's a crapshoot. You're not going to have teams that are going to be like the Patriots where they can run consecutive 8, 9, 10 years winning consecutively like they've done, dominance in the NFL. The cap and the lack of an ability to manage the cap is going to create parity on its own. Because again, that's how it's structured to be. Now, I'm not necessarily a fan of parity. People will say, "Oh, you're tired of seeing the same teams every year." No, I'm not. Okay, those are the teams that should be there. It's the markets usually that drive them.
Systemic.
It's dynasties. It's the villain. It's there's plenty of psychology.
Your Steelers are ultimate in that light
To suggest
both heroes and villains.
Yes. So I don't want to hear anything about that. If you earn the right to be in a position, you've earned the right to be in that position.
You have a successful system.
Yes.
You have
So,
a successful system.
Yeah, that's poo-poo on everybody else.
Right.
Okay. So
I mean,
again, that being said, it's going to be difficult moving forward the way football is structured. Them bringing the cap back even next year. Spending wisely is going to be number one priority for all these teams to be able to fund their teams, manage them the right way, and not overspend for guys on their second contracts, third contracts. It's going to be tough for the Chiefs because, again, Pat's going to want to get paid, Patrick. These commercial
Pat's
endorsements.
already getting paid. He has the highest valued contract in the history of the NFL.
But they were able to do that because
$500 million.
I'm saying, but he's going to want to continue to get paid,
He will continue to get paid.
but at the expense of the rest of the team. Tom Brady was taking pay cuts in his latter ends of his contracts.
Yes, I understand that.
And potentially, unless quarterbacks and players, and this is what I mean by how teams are going to have to manage these caps.
Right.
They're going to have to manage them not in terms of what they spend moving forward, but potentially what they've already spent. So it's going to be a whole system in place that's going to have to be able to allow them to have money to fill other team spots.
Right, but there's also some cap jujitsu that Kansas City can play with the Mahomes contract. Okay, they've got a lot of front end loaded money.
Right.
I mean, he's going to get. I think he's going to get paid like $45 million next year.
Listen, certain players will
Okay?
do that. Certain
So
players won't.
You will see the last 3 or 4 years of his contract. He may end up reworking his, as they like to say, reworking the
Right.
contract to where add a couple of years at a certain rate.
They may.
Okay,
And he may do that.
He may do that. I mean, because they made him the highest paid player.
But the
in
landscape
NFL.
of the NFL is as such. It's you have X amount of money to spend, and you have this many players to distribute that money to.
True.
And when you have that many number of players that incorporate what it is you're trying to do and pay to build the product, not every piece in that puzzle is going to work towards the same goal.
True.
Guys just want their money. And that's why you see, and there's nothing wrong with that. This is not a moral issue. This is, I'm working, I get paid. Okay.
Sure.
And it makes sense because
your worth.
we've talked about all this in terms of NFL careers and the lack of longevity and no guaranteed contracts. We can argue that through blue in the face. So make as much as you can, as quickly as you can,
Sure.
and that's okay by me.
Sure.
It's difficult for the teams to be able to accommodate those sorts of things with these sorts of players because you only have that X to draw from.
Right.
That's what the rules are. Everybody has that same level at which they have to
Sure.
operate, and some teams are going to be able to do it better than others.
Right.
And it's going to be difficult to do that consistently year after year.
Sure, but
That-
I already know the cycle in which they are going to handle this Patrick Mahomes situation. I already know the cycle that they're going to use. It's going to be, right now you have a body of players, a group of players, who some of them are under contract for 2 or 3 more years. Some of them are only under contract for 1 or 2 more years, okay? And like players like Chris Jones and Frank Clark, they got their contracts. They're getting paid. Okay, everybody was wondering, well, with Patrick Mahomes, how are they going to pay Chris Jones?
Right.
They paid him well. He's like one of the highest paid defensive linemen in the NFL.
Right.
Okay, but you're going to go into a situation where Kansas City is going to be relying on their draft picks, on the draft, to fill out that team, because you're going to lose. You're going to lose Hill. You're going to lose him. You're going to lose him to free agency. I can guarantee you will lose him to free agency. He will not take the pay cut that he needs to take.
Right.
Okay, he won't. He
Well-
just won't do it. It can't be done. It will be nowhere near his. I mean, even if it was close to his value, it can't be done. So you're going to lose him. Okay, and he will be replaced by Mecole Hardman, who in 2 more years will be looking to leave in free agency, and then he will be gone. And you'll see them draft another wide receiver. You'll see them draft another tight end, because you're not going to be able to make Kelsey the highest paid tight end in football. And they won't take a pay cut. So what you're going to see is these teams are going to let these players go. And right now they have a window of 2 to maybe 3 more years where that core of players, that young dynamic players, led by Patrick Mahomes,
Right.
are going to be around and have their opportunities. And as you go along, you are going to reset with more players via the draft.
If you can. But
If you can.
Right.
Well,
but
they're going to have to. They're going to have to
so
rely on
it
that.
lends to my point when you're saying these windows are closing. They're not 7 and 8 year windows anymore.
Oh.
Once you get to this point, they're 2 and 3 year windows, which is going to again make it difficult to keep this dynasty going in any particular team. Our original statement was, well, how many more do the Chiefs have in them? And again, my argument and potentially a good part of yours is saying that it's difficult because of the landscape of the league, the salary structure. Regardless of what you're saying, if you're having to pay your top players a larger percentage of your total available money to spend on your team, you're going to have to make more decisions correctly moving forward. Like you said, drafting properly, developing your talent, getting a little bit lucky because you have things like attrition. You have these guys that you're paying get hurt that can't contribute.
Sure.
So you have to be able to have the guys that you're paying to be able to replace those guys. So there's a lot of steps that need to be taken that have to be done correctly.
Right.
And it's, again, through many variables that will affect those decisions, that'll be difficult to do for teams consistently, therefore lending to smaller windows with franchises to be able to be successful. I don't think you're going to ever see moving forward, even as most recently as the Patriots, these last 10, 12 years and what they've done, maybe on a lesser level, because we've argued Green Bay's opportunity now for a short time where the other teams in their division are struggling. But I think across the entire landscape of the NFL, when you look back at the champion end of the year, you're not going to see Packers, Patriots, Cowboys, Packers. You're just not going to see that line up like that. It's just too difficult. You're going to see a team maybe go back-to-back, maybe, or maybe take a championship like the Chiefs have an opportunity where they may get 1 in 3 or 4 years because they're in that window. But outside of those smaller windows, I don't think you're going to see larger areas of time covered by just 1 or 2 teams. It's just too difficult. Too many variables.
Well, that's a perfect segue to the thing that we're going to finish out the show with, and that is the player carousel coming up here next year especially with quarterbacks. Okay, either through trade or through free agency. Never mind the draft that's coming up that has 5 or 6 possible quarterbacks going in the first and second round.
Which you have to assume are going to all contribute because that's been the league the last 2 or 3 years.
Sure.
These kids are coming out and they're playing.
Sure.
If, again,
Love
situations allow it to.
Love is the only one that's gone into a situation where he knows he was going to be sitting on the bench.
And that's because he's sitting behind perhaps one of the best quarterbacks in football this
Right.
year. So it makes sense. It's justified.
Right.
Yeah.
So what you have is, especially a quarterback carousel, you have a bunch of quarterbacks, a bunch of older quarterbacks, and even some younger quarterbacks that are questionable in their status with their teams that are going to be trading places. Chief amongst those, which was just announced yesterday, is Matthew Stafford with the Detroit Lions, who is now expected. The Lions and Stafford both are on the same page in saying, I want out. We want you to go out. You know, Stafford wants to be with a winner. He maybe wants to try to catch a ring before he hangs it up. He's going on his 12th season now.
Been around.
He was the number 1 overall draft choice in 2009. Wow, 2009.
Wow.
Yeah, that makes me feel old almost.
Wow. 3 decades ago.
Yeah, right.
By the numbers.
A million years ago.
Yeah, technically.
Get off my lawn.
Yeah.
But he's a guy that, once again, he wants to go to a winner. Okay, so the speculated destinations for a guy of Matthew Stafford's caliber include Indianapolis. A lot of people find him to be the favorite in Indianapolis.
I like that choice.
Because Indianapolis has a lot of the pieces in place to win a championship now.
They were close with Rivers.
Yeah.
And I'm tending to believe that Stafford's got a little bit more in the tank than Rivers did at this point in his career. I'd rather have certainly Stafford for the next 3 than somebody like Rivers, who was, again, maybe he gave it his best effort, but clearly had 1 foot out the door.
Yeah, Phil's done.
Stafford's not. Stafford's a
No.
beast. He doesn't miss any games. He's a leader. He's a winner.
Yeah, big fan.
And can sling it. So huge upgrade for a team that has everything in place but that. Good offensive line. Jonathan Taylor this year was a beast running the football.
True.
They need a little bit of talent on the outside. T.Y.'s getting a little long in the tooth. They've got
T.Y.'s he's a free agent.
Yeah, again, whatever the decisions
He's
are,
out the door.
but they have the things that matter. They've got ownership, they've got coaching, they've got a good offensive line, they've got good running game, they've got a solid defense. They just need that other piece, the most important piece, which is a quarterback. So Stafford to Indy to me makes a ton of sense.
Well, what about Stafford jumping to another team who is probably going to shed its quarterback, which is Jimmy Garoppolo and the San Francisco 49ers? It's easy to see a scenario where Garoppolo is cut or traded for cheap to the New England Patriots because he's a systemic guy. He grew up in their system. I'm sure that McDaniel would be oh yes, bring him back. That's his man crush. He's Brady 2.0. So
makes sense though.
It's easy to see that. And then you'll have that switching places where Stafford goes to San Francisco and Garoppolo goes to New England.
And Detroit somewhere gets some picks and some other stuff.
Now, with the hiring of a new head coach in Philadelphia, and with ownership and management telling said new head coach, Serini, whatever the guy was
he's a guinea.
Yeah, okay. Well, we love Italian head coaches.
We like the guinea head coaches, yeah.
But they told
Sperano,
him right
God
off
rest
the
his
bat
soul.
that Carson Wentz is fixable.
Yeah.
And we want you to fix him.
Well, he's fixable because they're paying him a lot of money,
Yeah, I
and
was
they
gonna say,
cannot absorb a failure financially with
Right.
Carson Wentz.
Yeah, they can't. They can't take the $45 million hit.
They call that coach speak / prayer,
Right.
Because they need it to work. Yeah,
Right.
Yeah, because that's
So Carson Wentz is going nowhere.
Yeah.
Nowhere unless in that first quarterback meeting and head coach meeting, there's a fist fight.
well, even that may not do it because
And even that may not do it.
no, because the owner won't be involved in the fist fight.
You're talking an Italian guy versus a Polish guy. They both like to fight. They're both tough, all of that stuff. But no, unless there's an absolute knockdown, drag-out fist fight.
Italian guy wins because he shanks him probably, but that's probably about it. So anyway, give it to the guinea.
So Wentz is going nowhere.
Yeah.
Simple as that. He is in place. Dak Prescott is going to stay in Dallas. That is just a simple fact.
I think that whole thing is comical with Dallas. I don't mind seeing them struggle.
Oh, well.
In terms of just the fact of Jerry Jones and what he's created, the whole shit show. Again, wherever you lie, whatever fence, whatever side you're on.
Well, and it's even Stephen Jones, though. It's not so much Jerry. Jerry makes suggestions, but Stephen Jones is the guy who's really guiding the ship.
Players are pro-Jerry. Owners are anti-Jerry. But again, owners,
because Jerry pays.
Well, owners are again going to speak out of both sides of their mouth too, because they understand revenue-wise what the Cowboys and Jerry has done for the game.
Big Daddy Jerry.
So behind closed doors, F Jerry. In these coaches' summer meetings and whatever, Jerry, big hug. So it just depends on
You remember Ballers? You remember the show Ballers on HBO?
Yeah.
They had the owner of the Dallas team was the perfect. Was the perfect metaphor for Jerry Jones. I mean, he acted so like Jerry Jones. And what was it? The rest of the owners hated him.
Oh, yeah.
But they listened to him, and they did because he does good business and he makes the league money.
And they know that he can do whatever he wants to.
Right.
Okay. He's got the eyes and ears of the commissioner. Has been that way from the beginning. And the only reason why is because
they even called him the boss because he likes to be called the boss.
He has got lots of power, lots of money, lots of power, and that's a big thing in any sport, certainly in the NFL. So. Okay, that being said,
Dak is staying in Dallas.
Dak's not going anywhere.
He's
even if they franchise him. I mean,
he's going to get his money.
I think, and he should, because despite what we talked about, again, if you stack up the quarterbacks in the NFC, where would you put Amari Cooper? Where would you put Dak? I mean, obviously it's Aaron and it's Russell. Those are the top two in the conference.
Right.
But then at number 3, with all these changes potentially. And newer quarterbacks coming into the league, again, you would think that he's probably number 3 in terms of quarterback play. So,
all right,
that's probably a good spot to be in, and that's a plus for him and his team.
Well, okay, since we're in that division or running down that division, the Washington football team, is another team that is going to be have a drastically different quarterback room next year. I personally see them as a team that will make an aggressive move for a rookie quarterback will make an aggressive move to draft a quarterback. And I think that they may stand pat with Kyle Allen, and who was the kid that had that started the playoff game?
Oh, the one game he played.
No, he played in several games. Russ, third string quarterback for the Washington football team.
Right now?
The kid that played in the playoffs.
Here's what I'll say about Washington, though.
Oh, total whiff. Okay.
You can see the strength of their team is their defense,
Right.
and what they've done on that side of the ball.
Right, definitely.
They'll go get their quarterback.
What?
And was that a Rippin coming in
Yeah,
there?
I was like,
That was
no.
I don't think it. No.
God, I can't remember
Yeah.
the kid's name, but I know it wasn't anybody named Rippin.
it was the black kid, right?
Even if they
No,
get
it wasn't Haskins.
Even if they get
Never
their
mind,
quarterback,
go back to your cave.
Even if they get their quarterback situation right, it doesn't have to happen this year, because if they're smart with the picks, and they do have a lot of picks again this year, they could definitely build the offensive side of the ball like they did the defense side of the ball, because that defense is good.
I have a quarterback that they could go after.
Yeah.
Cam Newton. Okay, same offensive coordinator.
Quack, quack, quack.
Same
No,
coach.
get out of here.
I'm telling you
Cam
right
Newton's
now.
done.
Bet me money.
I don't have to.
Bet me donuts.
He's done. Cam Newton
Cam
is
Newton
finished.
then he'll be the backup in Washington.
Who cares? He's
Who
finished.
cares?
He's finished. WC. Who cares?
Cam hater.
No, not at
You're a
all.
Cam
I'm
hater.
a Cam realist.
You're a hater.
Listen,
Hater.
I'm glad he was Superman for about 14 months. But other than that, it's blah. For Cam at this point, I'm sorry.
Why you hating?
I'm not hating. I'm just telling the truth. I'm not sure if we gave a score for the Green Bay Tampa game.
Yeah, you did.
A score? I give a score for that game?
Did you
No.
give a score?
I
No?
gave a score
Okay,
for the
well,
Kansas
go ahead,
City
give
game.
us a score.
Well, first of all, you told me again who you want to win, but you didn't say who is going to win today. I don't want emotions.
I hate to cheer for Brady. I really do, but
So you're saying Tampa wins today?
yep.
Score. Give me a score.
Oh, you want me to give the score?
Yeah, well, I'm giving a score too, but I want to hear yours first.
27-23 Tampa. The Tampa Bay defense steps up, holds the Green Bay defense to 3 field goals and 2 touchdowns. And and that's it. And they score 3 field goals and 3 touchdowns.
They don't. Do they give MVP awards for championship games? I don't think they do. Do they? Like, is there
I think
MVP?
so.
Like not just within the team. I'm sure they give game ball and whatever stuff they do. But is it a recognizable award for a championship
Why?
game?
Where are you going with this?
My MVP today for the Packers in a Packers victory today is going to be Aaron Jones.
Okay, so
Quiet.
you're anticipating an Aaron Jones, 20 touch, 150 total yards,
Potentially,
type of,
yeah.
2-3 touchdowns.
Been a little banged up the last few weeks. You really haven't heard much of Aaron Jones, but when he was healthier earlier in the year and even in parts of during the year, when you looked at Green Bay's success, despite Aaron Rodgers' numbers being off the charts, Aaron Jones was having some big games. It was mismatches. I mean, and he was such a part of the offense that made them even scarier. They've been as good as they've been without that the last couple of weeks. I think today, even though weather's not a factor, obviously it comes down to controlling the ball. And if they have an opportunity and can run the ball successfully with Aaron Jones and Williams, they're going to do so on that football team, Tampa, today. You go against a team's strength on defense and their pressure by running at them. And I don't know. It just makes sense to me. I can see a game script where Aaron Jones has that sort of game today, where he has that 20-touch game, blows it out, 150 plus, like you said, and maybe a score or two. And
I'll give you a scenario.
Take it.
I will go so far as to, okay, what you say is true. Okay. Aaron Jones carries the game.
Right.
It is 20-14. Middle of the third quarter, it's 20-14. Okay. Green Bay drives down and kicks a field goal, 23-14, going into the fourth quarter. And then all of a sudden, Brady leads the Bucs down for a field goal. Now it's 23-17. Dun 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 dun.
I'm on the edge of my seat right now.
Dun 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 dun.
No, literally, because I just...
Brady leads another field goal drive.
Wow, how much time is left?
23-20.
This is getting fun.
Dun, 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 dun.
4 minutes left.
The Packers can't get a first down.
3rd and 8, incompletion. Devontae Adams.
Get a first down.
Okay, punt. 2.5 minutes. Down 4.
Down 4.
Where are we at?
Down 3.
Oh, down 3.
Yes, it's 23-20.
I think one of these kickers is missing an extra point today. But anyway, go ahead. You have a weird score.
They're up 3. The Packers are up 3, 23-20.
I'm going to say 25-22.
Nope. And then you get Brady. Touchdown drive. End of the game.
Mike Evans.
Sure, why not?
Cameron Brate.
Sure, why not? But touchdown drive. End of the game. 27-23.
Confetti.
And the Packers will get a chance with like 45, 50 seconds left on the clock.
Aaron Rodgers
But
magic.
they'll have no
timeouts. Okay.
Rodgers doesn't pull off the magic trick.
That was a very detailed description of today's game.
You don't have to watch the game
You
now.
gave
I
me-
just told you how it's going to go.
That's incredible.
Okay, I just told you how it's going to go.
So basically you're saying is Green Bay wins this
Save
game.
yourself 3 hours of heartache.
31-10 Green Bay. Is that what this is essentially? So
No, I'm telling you,
Okay.
27-23.
Tampa.
All
right, my
Tampa's
score.
defense steps up and keeps.
I'm
Green Bay
not
out of
going
the
to tell you how many field goals they kick in the fourth quarter. I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to say Green Bay wins the game today. I think it is a close game. I think, again, it's also another type of defensive, lower scoring game. I think teams will have opportunities, but then they'll kind of tighten up. It's going to go down to some kicking. Like you said, just not sure when. But I think Green Bay today attempts to run the ball. I think Aaron Jones and Williams and such are a big part of that. I think Tanyan gets a lot of targets because it's safe. His passer rating to Tanyan this year is 141. It's like off the charts. So those guys have obviously established a very good connection.
By the way,
it's even higher than between him and Adam.
Tunyon. It's like onion with a T.
Can I call him Tanyan, please?
But it's Tunyon.
I go phonetically, how I predict my
As
names.
in, it's a ton
Yeah.
and a yin.
Tanyan.
Tunyon.
I think it just spit in my Okay. Again, it works. His passer rating to Tunyon is better than it is to Devontae Adams, even though Devontae's, I think, is above 130. So they're both pretty good.
Over your shoulder right now, you're getting Rodgers to Adams, and now you're getting the snowblowers.
There you go.
Okay.
So, again, my score today is going to be 27-23
The other way.
Green Bay Packers.
The other way.
Yeah.
Because that was mine, 27-23.
You copied me.
No, I beat you to it.
I don't think we got to check the tape.
We will check the tape. This does load.
Yeah.
Okay, so and you said Kansas City will win, and what was that, 30-21 or something like that?
Again, check the tape. But yeah, they're going to go ahead and cover that as
They're going to win a shootout?
No, I don't think. Again, I'm leaning both these games being a little bit more defense oriented. I'm thinking that, again, teams are going to want to come into this game and control the football, and you do that by running the football. Buffalo can't do that.
And
KC
not turning it
can.
over.
Well, clearly, KC can. So even more so if KC establishes ball control and allowing their offense to game script the way they've designed it, which is balance. Buffalo's in trouble because Buffalo, again, they can turn the ball over, but they cannot control the clock. That's not who they are.
They don't run.
And they don't run because they don't run the football. So lower scoring, KC establishes the run. Green Bay establishes the run. It's a December football. It's playoff football. This is what teams are going to try and do this time of year. And I think you see it in both games. So a little lower scoring than maybe predicted. Both home teams win. And 2 weeks, we got a big one.
Tyrann Mathieu picks off Allen. Maybe twice.
Oh, boy, that's big.
But
Well, you laid out a field goal chart, so I kind of believe you.
But
Yeah.
the Buffalo defense, which for the last 8 weeks has been the number one red zone defense in the NFL,
Overall, I think they're 2, so they can't be too far from 1 over the last 8 weeks.
makes Kansas City settle for field goals. Butker kicks 5 of them.
Here we go again. Johnny Field Goal over here.
Johnny field goal.
I'm calling Johnny Field
Okay.
Goal, laying out the whole field goal graph.
Sure.
All right. So
You got it.
you got 8. You just called 8 field goals
Once
in 2
again,
games.
the loser is going to
Wow.
score 23 points.
Matthew Stafford and the Lions will part ways, which
Yes,
we just
we know
discussed.
that.
It's official, though. It's on my computer screen. Yeah.
The loser will score 26 points. Your final score will be 31-26 Buffalo.
Wow.
As much as it pains me, 31-26 Buffalo. Kansas City will be forced to settle for too many field goals. They'll open their first drive is going to be a field goal. Their first drive, they'll open their drive all the way down there. They'll get stuffed in the red zone. Field goal.
Could happen.
Okay.
They've struggled all year.
Middle of the first quarter, it's going to be 6-0. 2 field goals.
Here we go. Laying out the go. Keep going.
Okay.
Give me the score at about 9 minutes left in the second quarter. Where are we at?
9 minutes left in the second quarter.
Yeah.
7-6.
Oh, I love it.
7-6.
I think it's beautiful.
The Allen to Diggs combo goes long.
Can you tell me what color sweater Josh McDermott's going to wear today?
Blue.
Nice. Good
Blue.
call. Good call.
Blue.
I don't see blue,
Blue.
so you have to tell me.
He's got blue hair.
And I believe you.
Blue.
Nice.
I'm telling you right now,
You did tell me.
Kansas City is going to be forced to settle for too many field goals, and you will see it. The score will get to be 28-20 quick.
It could.
Quick.
If those strengths
Middle of the
play
third
out
quarter.
the way we've talked about Kansas City struggling in the red zone, and that is Buffalo's strength. So
28-20, middle of the third quarter. Buffalo will have scored their 4th touchdown, 28-20, middle of the third quarter on their second drive. We'll even get their second drive in the second half, second drive of the third quarter. They'll score a touchdown, 28-20, and then Kansas City will kick another field goal,
you and your field goals.
and they'll trade field goals in the fourth quarter, and the game is over.
Okay.
31-26, Buffalo.
All right.
And the Miami Dolphins will not trade Tua Tagovailoa to the Houston Texans for Deshaun Watson.
Sad. Sad if you're a Dolphins fan.
Why? It's not sad.
It's sad.
It's sad. They went and got him, pretty much got his choice for quarterback coach, and Charlie Fry. Okay. The guy who coached him in the Manning camps and the Trent Dilfer camps, the guy who coached him out of high school, going into college, that made him a successful college coach.
And Bryce Harper went out and got his dad to throw him BP for a home run hitting contest, and he still didn't win. So I don't care what you surround yourself with. If you are...
Bitter Philly. You got to go to baseball right now?
Here's what I'm saying.
You're jumping to baseball.
I am
You're
not.
You're forcing the issue to baseball.
I am not going to give or take away credit based upon help in a situation like that. Okay, I'm not buying it.
Why? Ken Dorsey was a huge help for
Players
Allen.
get
Josh
better.
Allen was-
Coaches make players better. It's
Right.
not my argument. I get
Right.
that. But you
So?
still, your foundation has to be high enough so that when they make you better, you become the greatest or the great, whatever level you want to be at.
And you don't think that Tua has a foundation to
I am
make it
saying
to
that he is
greatness?
not Deshaun Watson, and that Deshaun Watson, who is proven, Deshaun Watson this year had the highest quarterback rating ever for a quarterback on a team at less than 6 wins.
And I understand that, but Houston has no leverage. They have none.
I don't care what they have or don't have. If you told me that I'm starting my franchise next year, especially the Dolphins franchise, with where they're at and what they could be, if you're telling me that you're going into that season game 1 with Tua, or you're going into that season game 1 with Deshaun Watson, that you would not rather have Deshaun Watson. There's not a person on this planet with a sane mind that would say that. It's Deshaun Watson. You have a chance to have
Houston is not getting. Listen, I'm
Drew
telling
Brees.
you,
That's all I'm saying. Drew Brees.
Houston is. Oh, screw you at Drew Brees.
That's what I'm saying. You have a chance to have a franchise quarterback that you failed on for the last 25 years, and you're not going to take that guy for the next 7 or 8 years at the peak of his career. It's insanity.
Who's going to catch the ball?
You go into the draft looking for Deshaun Watson, and yet now you have a chance to have Deshaun Watson, and you pass it up. You don't make it happen.
Okay. Let's say the hypothetical trade goes through. Okay, Houston's going to demand a king's ransom for this guy.
Okay.
He's going to want both first-round draft choices this year.
Okay.
And they're going to want their second rounder this year that we have at the top of the second round.
Who would you rather have,
Okay.
Minka Fitzpatrick or Deshaun Watson?
Yeah, I understand.
'Cause this is what
But
this
wait,
ends up being.
They're also going to want Tua Tagovailoa, no matter what Bleacher Report might say. You know, even Houston's general manager came out and said, "We didn't say that. We didn't say it was a a deal breaker." then they're going to want next year's first-round draft choice.
You cut off an arm to get Deshaun Watson. Okay.
You're nuts.
Have to, when the Dolphins
You're bananas.
I'm telling you, the Dolphins are in a spot right now where they have money to spend, they have picks, they have talent, they have a coach, they have everything you need to win except for the most important piece, which is a quarterback. You do not pass up a franchise quarterback when you are the Miami Dolphins, especially the Miami Dolphins, who have done that not one time, but twice so far, potentially, with the Drew Brees fiasco, because you could have had him the last 8 years, 7 years.
I'm starting to get a little upset you keep bringing up Drew Brees.
Because it's
I
true,
take that personally.
because you had an opportunity, again, whether or not the doctors at that
Stupidest
point
sports doctor
said,
ever.
Okay. My point is that you go into a draft or you go into a trade looking to make your team better or to find a piece that you're missing, and you have an opportunity to immediately fill the piece. It's a success. You're not hoping that the player that you have now in Tua can become Deshaun Watson, because I'm saying that's not going to happen. Maybe it could, but right now, and certainly next year, that's not the case. You make the trade. You go get the top third, fourth best quarterback in the league right now that you can have for a extended period of time leading your franchise where it should be.
Okay.
That's all. There's no
will
argument.
say, just for the sake of argument, my line is drawn at next year's first-round draft choice. Okay, you want number 3, you want number 18, you want number 36, okay? 3, 18, and 36, and Tua Tagovailoa. Okay, 4 players. Okay, what do you want? A second or a third? Oh, we'll give you a third next year. Okay, but who are you gonna put around the man if you trade 3 players in the top 36 to get this guy? Then who is he going to throw the ball
worth
to?
All that.
Who is he?
More.
What, Albert Wilson? He's going to make Albert Wilson a superstar?
Like we talked about.
He's going to make Devontae Parker a superstar?
We talked about with teams that have their talent. The good teams make what they have better. And you have to put the trust in the coaching, finally, in the organization, finally, in the production. You saw what they were this year without a Deshaun Watson. Okay, how good are they a year removed from how bad they were this year with Deshaun Watson? The team is in a position now, clearly, that for the next 3 years, certainly, that they can win football games and a lot of football games.
Yeah, I'm not doubting that.
How do you pass that up
within that system? I mean, listen, I understand that the reason why they had such a bad year was because of the chaos of the situation of losing the coach and all of that crap. I understand that, but okay, he had that year and they still went 4-12. Okay, they still only won 4 games.
You know, in the NBA, and we've talked about this, the teams that are in the lottery every year, they're in the lottery because they're taking guys that are potentials. Okay, now these guys are talented guys who are making the NBA, so they can play. But they're potentials. It's a first-round pick. He should have this talent. He should
trust the process.
Transcend to this. But you're looking to get to a point on a potential player and its value, okay?
Right.
And that makes that player, that makes you be able to look at that guy and say, okay, yeah, he's first-round talent, he's second-round talent, and then it plays out into a career and going, wow, that guy was worth this. You have an opportunity to fill that position with a guy that is already at all the levels and all the boxes that you would check. You have to sacrifice something to get to that point. It doesn't happen, okay? You have an opportunity to fast-track that, and you fast-tracked it with a high level of success by doing something like this, by solidifying the position with a proven commodity for a longer period of time that you haven't had for years. And now you have an opportunity to close that hole, to close that gap, and to put that piece in the puzzle that doesn't have to change next year or 3 years from now or 6 years from now or whatever the contract's going to be, that you can go ahead and sign him and get that done now. You give up a potential first-round receiver that you don't know what his contribution is going to be for your franchise.
Well, in the final word on this is that a lot of people speculate that the hiring of Charlie Fry as the quarterback coach, which the Dolphins just did recently, yesterday I believe it was, or Friday, hiring of Charlie Fry, who was an Elite 11 coach, the Trent Dilfer School, that seems to solidify the fact that the offer is not coming. Okay, but it was brought up that, oh yeah, well, 5 years ago, Charlie Fry also worked with Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
So
imagine these relationships.
They're very familiar with one another.
Sure.
They're good pals. So what do you have to say to that?
Yeah, a lot of relationships that we
Right.
don't really
No.
put together
Right.
until they're already been put together.
Right.
Yeah.
But
Connect the dots.
The deal, listen, the deal breaker is, the deal crusher is that Deshaun Watson will not be leaving Houston if Eric Bieniemy is hired as the head coach, because that's his choice.
Yeah, but they already said
that's what he wants.
Yeah, but they've already gone against what Deshaun's wanted for
Then
a while.
you will see the prospect, because the Jets are also they're waving first round draft choices. We got three. We'll give you three, and we'll give you Sam Darnold.
The reason why you don't hear Deshaun, his discontent as much as you've heard, because again, he's a probably a morally sound man.
Very.
He feels like that he may still be in some sort of, I don't say servitude for lack of better words, but a commitment to Houston and the organization.
He's committed to the city as
Yeah,
well.
exactly, and the fan base and stuff like that. So he's not trying to go kicking and screaming.
Right. He's a pillar of that community.
And he also realizes, too, that in not doing so, his value, or at least his perceived value, remains higher, and therefore Houston can get a little bit more back in return. Whereas
they're gonna
now,
want a ton.
everything is out on Stafford, and Stafford's leaving, and they've already agreed. Even though it's amicable as well, Detroit has shown its cards. Okay, they can't get as much for him now, knowing that they're just going to have
Second-rounder.
to, whatever it is. Okay,
Yeah.
but they've made that bed. They have to lay in it now. Houston's still trying to fight the fight. At least
They're going to lose J.J. Watt, too.
there was a few players. So again, I mean, these executives, these NFL executives, they know this. I mean, it's not like it's making a huge bit of difference, but the optics aren't great. At least in Detroit, from Detroit's perspective, at least from Houston's perspective. Maybe they're hanging on to as much as they can. Again, this perceived value that they can get as much as they can for him, whatever the deal happens, whatever team he goes to. The Dolphins need this to happen. They have to go get their quarterback now. They can't depend on Tua. I've seen it. They've seen it in spots this year where, again, he's accurate. He's done all these things. He's not making the plays Herbert's making. He's not making the plays Allen's making. He's not making those sorts of plays where you're like, oh, my God, this guy is amazing. He's not that guy. He's good. I'm a Tua guy.
Sell the farm for the guy.
You're not selling the farm. You're getting the third best quarterback in football for the guy. Okay, and I'm making the deal. They've seen enough on Tua. They know who Tua is. He's not going to all of a sudden blow up in all these other categories, these eyeball type categories that I refer to, that you look at a guy like a Josh Allen, you're like, this guy is stronger and faster and throws harder than everybody. Okay, he checks all the boxes.
Yeah.
Okay, he's not a Patrick Mahomes where, again, throw it out of the building, got ahead, really smart, can make all the plays athletically. Okay, he's not checking all those boxes either. And there's a lot of guys you go down the list with. Justin Herbert. Again, I like the kid. I was a pro Tua guy. But when this particular opportunity presents itself, and you have an opportunity to go get Deshaun Watson, or a player of that caliber.
Same level as Aaron Rodgers?
Deshaun Watson?
Yeah.
Only in the sense, potentially because of the opportunity to play a little bit longer. He's a little bit younger.
Right, same ability level.
I'm going to say yes. I mean, Pro Football Focus has him rated third or fourth best quarterback with all the intangibles,
Right.
despite their just horrific offense and the horrible moves Houston's made in terms of getting rid of Hopkins and the choices they've made in the organization. Yeah, Watson's doing more with less by far than anybody at the position in the NFL.
You're killing me. All right. Well, we're going to agree to disagree.
Yeah.
I can honestly say that I will be upset if we give up 3 first-round draft choices for the guy.
And I'll honestly say that come week 1 of the season next year, you're going to be excited to see him under center.
Sure.
So you'll forget about those picks really quickly.
It's going to cost me. You know why it's going to cost me? Because this past Christmas, I bought my brother a Tua Tagovailoa jersey.
There's a little personal thing in here going on here.
So
But you know what, though?
Who could have saw that coming?
We've had
I got to go buy another jersey.
we've had a few extra colder nights, it seems, this year in the wintertime. I know I've had a few Steeler items in the pit. They burn well. So if
You are so sad.
if you need something to burn or just a little,
Come on, you signed Dwayne Haskins. He's the future. He's the next number 7.
yeah, solid guy,
Solid.
huge
Huge.
guy. Anyway,
All right, let's go ahead and say goodbye to everybody.
we didn't even talk about that.
What you don't even want to. You don't look like a man who really wants to talk about that.
I didn't wear anything Steelers today.
I see that.
Yeah, I didn't
All
do
right,
anything Steelers
all right.
today.
So you can catch the Maz on MLB Joy Us at MLB Joy Us on the Instagrams. He still hasn't gotten a Twitter account.
Baseball's coming.
Baseball's coming. Yes. How many days till pitchers and catchers?
Build it and they will come.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
about 26.
Okay. And if I'm cutting him off because if he gets started on baseball, we're going to be here until the game starts.
We haven't mentioned UFOs in
No
months.
UFOs. No UFOs either. No UFOs. And of course, you can check us out on social media, on pretty much everything social media. Just search Gonzo Radio, and we will be the first one that pops up. I promise you. So, on behalf of myself and the Maz, say goodbye to the nice people.
April 1st, by the way. April Fool's Day is when it really starts.
Okay.
It's not a joke.
I believe you.
Bye, nice people.
Okay. Thank you so much for watching us here each and every week. This was number 62. 62 in the books. And we will be back again next week to mop up the championship weekend and to further torture Matt with the news that Aaron Rodgers may or may not be going to the Super Bowl. So on behalf of myself and Damaz, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you guys next week on episode number 63. Peace.